All right, welcome to this first video in the Breakthrough series. And in this video, we're going to talk about defeating your fears. And the content in this discussion is so critical because it's your relationship to fear that's going to determine your success in any area of life. And it's not whether you have fear or not, we all have fears, but it's your relationship to the fear. Do you control the fear or does the fear control you, right? Is the fear in your life the lead pilot or is it the co-pilot? That's really what's going to determine whether you're successful or not. So in this video, I'm going to talk about 4 key components around fear. And wait till we get to number 3. Number 3 will change the game entirely in your business if you're really not following this one particular principle. So first I want to talk about this story that I love about the Golden Buddha. And it's such a powerful story as it relates to who we are and our fears. So the story goes that in Thailand in the 1950s, they found this big, gigantic clay Buddha. It was like a 10-foot high Buddha that was painted and it was all just made of clay. And as they were moving the Buddha to get it out of the rain or something like that, a piece of it got chipped. And later on, one of the monks, as the story goes, was shining a light on it just to kind of check how it was doing. And there was light reflecting back. So as he chipped more clay away, he discovered there was gold inside. And eventually they chipped all the clay away and it was this solid gold statue, like 10 feet of solid gold. And so as they did their research trying to figure out what the story was behind this golden statue that had been covered with clay, what they figured out is that many, many years ago, there was this civilization of monks. And there was a Burmese army, I believe, that was going to come through. And the monks knew that they would pretty much all be decimated in this battle. But they didn't want the army to take their Buddha that they perceived as being very valuable, obviously. So they covered it up with all of this clay. And they painted it so that the army wouldn't think it was very valuable. And so their predictions pretty much came true. The army came through and killed all the monks, but they left this Buddha behind because they didn't think there was any value in the Buddha. And in reality, that Buddha was extremely valuable. I think it was like, $20 million worth of gold by today's standards. And what I love about that story is that it really talks about how we evolve as people and it teaches us how we create protection in our life. So we're all a golden Buddha, but as we go along life, as events happen to us as we're growing up in childhood, we get hurt, we feel embarrassed, we have these judgments, these negative experiences, and we don't like those negative experiences. So what we do is we put on these layers of protection, similar to the clay surrounding all the gold. And as we continue to grow and evolve in our life, we just keep packing more and more layers of this clay on. And so most of us are walking around with incredible amounts of clay that's surrounding who we truly are as a person. It's surrounding our value deep down inside. And so personal development, PD here, personal development is really not about becoming anybody new. It's really about unbecoming all of those layers of clay. And it's in those layers of clay that our sabotage lives. It's in the layers of clay that our fear lives. It's in those layers of clay that all of our doubts and all of our worries and pretty much everything that's wrong with us mentally and emotionally lives. All that stuff lives in the layers of clay. It doesn't live in who you actually are. It lives in who you think you are based on the experiences that you've gone through in life. Those protection mechanisms, because that's all that fears are. Fears are designed to protect our golden Buddha from being harmed. But then we become those protection layers, right? Our identity gets wrapped up in the clay. All of these false senses of who we are, all of these limiting beliefs of what we can and can't accomplish, all of that is the clay. So in personal development, it's really about chipping away those layers. It's not about becoming somebody new. You have everything you need inside of you to achieve anything that you want inside of Mary Kay and outside of Mary Kay. As long as you're willing to chip away the layers and unbecome some of those beliefs, unbecome some of the identities, undo some of the habits that have just been created. And the reason I love that concept is because there's stability in that, right? There's a sense of calmness in that all you are is already inside of you. And it's just about tapping into that source, right? Now, in this process of unbecoming and chipping away the layers of clay, there's going to be this constant battle, and the battle is going to be between your head and your heart. Your head is where all of the problems live. Your head has created all the layers of clay. Your head has created all of the doubts. Your head has created all of the limiting beliefs. Your head is holding on to all of the problems that are getting in your way of living a life of fulfillment and success and being more, achieving more inside of your Mary Kay business, being more fulfilled in your relationships. Those are all obstacles that are created by our head, the layers of clay. It's our heart deep down inside that knows no fear. Our heart really knows who we are. Your heart believes in you. Your heart isn't worried about people joining your business and leaving. Your heart isn't worried about rejection. Your heart isn't worried about failure. Your head is worried about all of that stuff. Now, it can get confusing because it feels like you're experiencing those emotions in your heart, but that's not where the fears live. That's not where the doubts, the limiting beliefs live. They don't live in your heart. So as you evolve as a human being and as you evolve in your business, you're going to have this constant battle, I'm going to call it, struggle for a lot of people, but really it's just a dance. It doesn't have to be miserable. It's this dance between when is your head in control and when is your heart in control. When your heart's in control, your fears won't be in control of you. When your head is in control, your fears will be in control of you. So when your head's in control, fear is your lead pilot. When your heart's in control, fear is your co-pilot. That doesn't mean your fears won't be there. It just means that they won't be in control of you. So I want you to really think about this idea of your golden Buddha and how do you show up in the world? Do you show up as the clay? Do you act as though you are the layers of clay, protecting yourself from being harmed? Or do you show up as the golden Buddha who can really provide value for people, whether it's in your business or it's outside of your business? So that's the biggest concept that I want you to hold on to as it relates to your fears and as it relates to being successful in your business. Now, the second thing I want you to understand is I want you to understand, be aware of, and acknowledge your border patrol. And some of you may have heard about this concept that I developed many years ago as I was coaching in the Mary Kay world. And the border patrol basically says this. Imagine that, the room that you're in, if you're sitting in a room, or you just imagine that there are four walls around you. Imagine that is your comfort zone. And we all know that our dreams live beyond our current boundaries of the comfort zone, right? We all understand that intellectually, but still we struggle, most of us, with actually going after those dreams. And that's because sitting on top of these walls is your border patrol. Now, just like the real border patrol around countries, have all this army of people and they've got guns and they don't want people to cross the wall, right? That's pretty much how our internal border patrol operates. Is you've got these entities inside of you that sound like and feel like sometimes that there's this big army, and they might be even other voices to you. It might sound like there's other people, but in reality, it's this piece inside of you that is just simply trying to keep you inside the walls. They've been programmed to keep you safe inside the walls because they believe that safety is right here in the middle of your comfort zone. Now, they believe that because you told them that. Your layers of clay told them that anything beyond these walls is dangerous. There's risk out there. There's risk of failure. There's risk of rejection. There's risk of losing your family. There's risk of money changing you. All of these risks have been told to the Border Patrol, and the Border Patrol are now tasked with the challenge of keeping you inside these walls. So what happens is when you get a big idea, like you want to go after your goals, you want to go after your dreams, whatever they are, you start running toward the edge of your Border Patrol. But as you start running toward the edge of your Border Patrol, they take notice. And they don't want you to break through the walls, so they start firing on you. Now, the only way your Border Patrol can fire on you is with painful thoughts and memories and fears that you have inside of you. That's their only ammunition. They actually can't stop you from doing anything unless you listen to them and unless you succumb to what they're telling you and you decide to stop going forward because of what they're saying. But they actually can't control you. All they can do is yell and scream and make you remember certain things that are painful from your past. And they're going to do that to keep you safe inside these walls. So if you understand that that's the function of the Border Patrol, then you'll know that as you start running for your goals and dreams, they will get angry at you, right? They will start firing at you. So their yelling at you is not a stop sign. That's where most people make the big mistake. Their Border Patrol yelling is not a stop sign. It's actually confirmation. And if anything, it's a go sign. It's a sign that you're going in the right direction. If you just understand that their job is to keep you safe inside these walls, but your heart doesn't want to be in these walls. Your heart wants to live fulfillment. Your heart wants to live joy. Your heart wants to live happiness. Your heart wants to live success. It wants to live abundance, right? It wants to live inside of all those values. So you've got to break through those walls. And it will help you break through those walls if you understand that all the noise that's being created is simply to try to keep you safe and comfortable. But you cannot be comfortable and achieve your dreams at the same time. You have to choose one or the other. And if you just reframe what the Border Patrol is to you, and you realize that it's a sign that you're going in the right direction, it's a sign that you're going after your dreams, it'll be easier for you to not pay too much attention to them, and it'll be easier for you to keep going anyway. So what I want you to remember is that your doubts should not be silent. I don't want you to be afraid when your Border Patrol is loud. I want you to be afraid when they're silent. See, most people think it's the opposite. Most people think that success is about turning off their self-talk. It's about turning off their doubts and their worries and their fears. No, it's not. It's the relationship to those things, right? It's not about turning them off, because the only way that those things will turn off is if you're right in the middle of your comfort zone, not trying, not stretching, not growing. So your doubts should be loud. Those doubts, those worries, they should be going off like big sirens all the time, because that means that you're in movement. That means that you're striving. Don't be like most people and wish for a silent memory or head talk when it comes to doubts and fears, because the only way you can do that is to settle. So I don't want you to search for settling. I want you to search for growing. I want you to be more committed to your growth than you are to your comfort. And a lot of this head talk is going to show up as fears. I'm afraid of the rejection. I'm afraid of the opinions. I'm afraid of failure. I'm afraid of all that stuff. That's okay. Your fears are fine to have as long as you explore them. That's the key. Your fears should be explored. Because inside your fears, there are lessons. Inside your fears, there are something for you to learn, right? Inside the fears, there are messages that might say, yeah, I want you to be successful, but we can't lose our sense of family at the same time, or we can't lose our spiritual connection, or we want to make sure that money doesn't change us. Inside of our fears, there are lessons to listen to. But once you learn the lesson, then don't be controlled by the fear, because those lessons, remember, are just wrapped inside of the clay. And you cannot be committed to your layers of clay anymore if you want to achieve what you're here to achieve on this planet, in this life, and in your business of Mary Kay. So explore your fears, because when you explore them, they'll fall. And I'm going to give you 3 questions in a moment that will help you explore all of these fears. But let me get to number 3 that I said earlier will be a game changer for you. Number 3 is what I call the evil twin concept. And specifically, this relates to how your fears are created according to what you're focused on, right? So the evil twin concept is basically when you focus on certain things and you're trying to gain something, then there's an opposite side to that coin. I call it the evil twin. And the opposite side is losing something, right? So you can't focus on gaining something without also having the possibility of losing something. Usually it's the same thing, right? Whether it's somebody's opinion or an opportunity to recruit them into your business or what have you. So anytime you're focused on something that has an evil twin to it, then you're going to really be challenged by these fears. And they can get incredibly difficult to deal with, as I'm sure many of you have discovered and experienced, like I have, right? We all have this. And the thing is, specifically in Mary Kay, tangible goals will engage the evil twin all day long. Tangible goals are going to lead to fears of adequacy and or enoughness. Adequacy is, are you adequate? Are you capable? Are you enough? Are you smart enough? Are you good enough? Are you valuable enough to succeed? These are the deepest pains that most of us have to face. They're wrapped inside these fears that are attached to all these layers of clay. And when you focus on tangible goals, you're going to be triggering these feelings. You're going to be triggering these fears. You're going to be triggering all of the limiting beliefs. You're going to be triggering all the painful memories about the goals that you've tried to achieve in the past and you weren't able to achieve, especially inside of Mary Kay. And so I don't want you to be triggering all of these things, because that's going to be like you swimming upstream constantly against your fears, against your doubts, against your worries. The key is that you have this focus on service. That's what I call that. That's as close to a magic bullet as it gets. The magic focus is on service, because here's the thing. Service doesn't have an evil twin. When you show up to serve people, when you truly, in your heart, are here to help somebody, and they don't take you up on that offer of service, it doesn't have the same effect as when you're here to get a recruit, when you're here to get somebody's name and number during warm chatting, when you're here to make a sale. See, when you're here to make a sale and they don't buy from you, you'll get triggered by all of these things. I'm not a good salesperson. If I would have just said it differently, so-and-so was right when they said this business would never fail or would never work. All of that stuff is going to get triggered by your tangible focus. And tangible is basically anything that can be measured. So when you're focused on a title, when you're focused on becoming a director, becoming a national, getting into the pink Cadillac, getting your red jacket, when you're focused on making $1,000 a month, when you're focused on any of those tangible goals as your main source of motivation, you're going to trigger all of this stuff. That doesn't mean you can't track those things. That doesn't mean you can't be aware of those things. That's great. But you've got to be driven by service. You want your internal drive to come from something that doesn't have an evil twin, something that doesn't have the power to pull you down, right? So you want to be driven by service while you notice and track these tangible successes. That is the magic combination. So this is not an either or conversation. This isn't do you focus on service or do you focus on your tangible goals. You have both, but you've got to be driven, because that's the part that's deeper inside of you. That's your golden Buddha. That's your heart. That's the piece of the iceberg that's underneath the water, if you've seen that analogy. That's your unconscious mind. You've got to be driven by that piece of you that is stronger than your willpower, that's stronger than your ego. Your ego cares about these tangible goals. Your heart cares about making a difference on the planet. Your ego cares about what jacket you wear to seminar. Your heart cares about how many lives you've changed along the way. Your ego cares about how much money you've made, in your business. Your heart cares about how many people will say to somebody else that you have been a game changer, a world changer, a life changer in their life, right? So again, that's the head versus the heart struggle that I was talking about earlier. So you've got to be driven by your service that doesn't have an evil twin while you track your tangible goals. That's the magic combination that I've noticed in 10 plus years of coaching consultants, coaching directors, and coaching nationals. Now, the final thing I want to share with you on this video are the 3 fear-busting questions that can help you manage your relationship with fear. Really dance with fear, because that's what it's about. And I want you to think about it being this fun kind of dance, right? It's not this rigid, fight. It's not something that you're going to take care of and that'll never come back. It's a constant dance. And the more that you evolve and the more that you grow and the more that you continue achieving success, the more that these fears are just going to keep swirling around you, because you have another level to get to. You have another comfort zone to expand beyond, right? So these fears are always going to come along with you. They will evolve with you. These 3 questions will help you manage that. And the first question is, with any kind of fear, let's say you're afraid of getting rejected. With any kind of fear, the first question is, how likely is it? So how likely is it that this woman that you're going to go talk to is going to tell you to get lost, or she's going to judge you negatively and she's going to tell you that you shouldn't be doing this Mary Kay thing, right? Our head goes crazy with all of those scenarios, but in reality, how likely is it? And if the thing that you're afraid of isn't very likely, then your fear, just by challenging it that way, your fear will pretty much go away, or it'll lose the majority of the power over you. But let's say you've got a fear that is likely to happen. Then you go to the next question. The next question is, well, okay, if it does happen, how bad will it really be? And in reality, the things that we're afraid of aren't going to be that bad anyway. So what if somebody tells you to get lost? You're still going to go home. You're still going to have your family. You're still going to have the opportunity. You're still alive. You're still breathing this amazing air inside of this gift called life, right? It's not a life or death situation. So if somebody rejects you, even in the worst case scenario, let's say they pull out a whistle, they start blowing the whistle, and they start pointing to you, and they start telling everybody around that you're this evil, wicked witch who's trying to peddle her Mary Kay products on all of you. And she says to everybody, run away. This lady is going to try to tackle you and get you signed up in this scheme called Mary Kay. Let's say the worst case scenario happens. It's still not going to be that bad. Compared to all of the other blessings you have in your life, compared to everything else, it's still not going to be that bad. So even if it happens and it's not going to be that bad, then what's the point in being afraid of it? What's the point of allowing the fear to control you? Because it's not going to be that bad anyway. But let's say this fear is likely to happen, and if it happens, it actually will be really bad. Then the next question is, how temporary will it really be? Because in reality, I would say about 97% of the scenarios in our head that we're afraid of are temporary anyway. Even if it happens, we can get out of it. Whether it's very quickly, like a few days, sometimes a few minutes, or maybe it takes a few months and maybe even a few years. pretty much all of our scenarios that we're afraid of, especially inside of business. Like, try to name one fear that you have that gets in your way of building your Mary Kay business that's actually permanent. I can't think of one in a business sense, because the fears that generally hold you back in your Mary Kay business, they're all made up, they're all emotional, they're all irrational, they're all based on the layers of clay. They're not life and death fears. They're not actual fears. They're not survival fears, and they're not permanent. They're pretty much all temporary anyway. So if you have this situation that even if it's bad, it's going to be temporary and you can get out of it, what's the point in living in the misery? What's the point in allowing it to hold you captive when your dreams are waiting for you? When there are people out there that are waiting for you? And when you make that shift and you understand that you're not chasing your goals, you're actually running to serve other people. You're running because you have this gift in your hand called Mary Kay. You have the gift of products that can help people feel fantastic. And just by them changing the way they feel about themselves, that might heal a relationship. That might cause them to show up differently inside of their parenting. And you've got this opportunity, just in case somebody might be interested in changing the circumstances in their life, you've got this opportunity, should they say yes and should they commit to it, that could change the course of their future, financially, spiritually, emotionally, inside their relationships, health-wise. So you have a gift, and there are people out there right now that are drowning in the circumstances of their life. And if you have a gift and you really are driven by service and you say that you believe in the opportunity that Mary Kay has to change people's lives, then shame on you for not sharing that gift to people who are currently right now drowning inside the misery of their circumstances. You have a calling, you have an obligation to do whatever you can possibly do to serve these people and to help those people start chipping away at the layers of clay in their life, whatever that means for them. You have an obligation. And when you're driven by the obligation to serve more than you're driven by the fear of what might happen, everything shifts. You are now virtually untouchable and uncontrollable by these irrational made-up fears of the head, because the power inside your heart and the value of your golden Buddha and what you have to offer people is so big that nothing can get in your way. So hopefully this short video on fears has been beneficial to you. I'd love to hear what your takeaways are. So please, on this page, post a comment. If you like this video, you can share it with other people. But I'd love to engage with you and interact with you, and I'll do my best to respond to any of your comments that you put on this page. I'd love to hear what was your biggest takeaway from this, and I'd also love to hear what is going to drive you that is bigger than the fears that have always stopped you. Because you've got to have clarity on what that thing is that you're willing to fight for more than all the fears that in the past have stopped you. So hopefully video number 1 has been valuable for you. I'll be coming to you with video number 2, which is all about, I forget what video number 2 is all about. Video number 2, I got it over there on my wall. Video number 2 is all about staying motivated. And in video number 2, I'm going to teach you how to really keep your momentum going so that you avoid all the cycles, the huge ups and the huge downs that many people have inside their business. So with that, this concludes this video. I hope you found it valuable, and I'll talk to you real soon in the next one.